Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 32 breakdown for the CoreTCG online treasure cup that happened this past weekend. It was over 900 players and 10 rounds of Swiss into this top 32 that you see here today. And a couple things before we get started. First, if you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. It definitely helps the channel's growth, and I really do appreciate it. I also want to thank CoreTCG for not only running the event, but also for letting myself and Brian from Stage 0 to do the live stream for it. I really had a good time. I really like doing these the live streams for these events too. So if you guys want to see the footage, it is already on Stage 0's YouTube right now and edited down just to the matches, so you guys can watch that right now too. And then also, if you are interested in playing some more tournament stuff, we do have our own EPO1 legal double win-a-box starting tomorrow, Tuesday, May 7th at 5 p.m. PST or 8 p.m. EST. We have a couple spots left if you guys are interested for it. Link to the description there too, and there it is. So going on into this event, we do have, again, 933 players, 10 rounds of Swiss, best of one into this top 32. And it's the last week of the Star Deck 13 meta here in North America, with EBO1 being legal right now. So the rest of the tournaments this month will have EBO1 legal. It just wasn't quite there for this one, since it just was released so close to the start of this tournament. So usually what happens for Bandai games, and that makes sense for not having to scramble to get product very early, but I am ready to be in EBO1. I think you guys are as well. But I do think that there are some interesting things, like interesting decks that kind of top for this one, and we can kind of also talk about how I think some of these decks are going to transition into EB1 as well, and I think that's good to know too. So going to the leader breakdown, though, we did have 15 Sakazuki, 7 Moria, 4 Katakuri, 2 Newgate, 2 of the Star Deck 13 Luffy, 1 Enel, which ended up winning the event, as well as 1 copy of Nami. So again, the big 3 taking up 75% of a top cut, still pretty true here, with them taking a 60, 2/3 ish of the meta in general. So Sakazuki specifically, though, has been doing very, very well in just the conversion rate for the leader. I also want to say that I think this is the first event, at least for the data that I've been able to get, where Sakazuki is the most popular leader. I think he had a little bit of a slow start for this meta, where people had to figure out how to play him, or just kind of what the matchups are specifically, where you kind of value the tempo and removal and everything. And now that we're kind of deep into the OP06 meta, most people have kind of figured out the balance for it, and it's been been getting more confident with the leader too. So yeah, I think it's been very good. Obviously, it's been I think it's been topping more than anything else. I know it hasn't been winning everything, but it's just been a really good spot for getting that top 16 and 32 spots. So anyways, we're going to talk about the top placing leader for each one of these leaders, but I also do want to say shouts to the Eggman event sponsored player, Jonas Abraham. We just sponsored him starting this past event, so really happy to have him on the team, and big congrats to Jonas for getting 5th place as well, among all of the other accomplishments that he's been able to do in the last couple months too. So shouts to him, appreciate him being on the team. And but we are going to go over the top placing list for each one of these leaders, though, starting off with our first place list, which is Justin's copy of Enel. And Justin is playing a very interesting version of Enel. I will say this is kind of what you were a lot of people have been testing kind of in the EBO1. We do get a couple more cards to make the kind of rush aggressive version a little bit better, like the Flampe, and also the 4-cost event that lets you play Enel from your hand or trash for free, so that's very good. But I think kind of the strong part of this build too is kind of just the smoke screening for it, as most people aren't expecting like the more rush aggressive build of Enel in this format, in this tournament. I think they're expecting it in EBO1 legal, but you still have most of the pieces for it, and especially the good pieces, I think. So strongest card for the deck, I think, that's been released is the 5-cost Ace. Being able to be a 5-drop 7k rush is very good for momentum. If you play it on curve and you have rush and attack with it, a lot of decks are going to have a hard time removing it too, which is great, and it's just been very, very strong. So I think that's a good piece for the deck in general. And then obviously we still have the 7-cost Enel, which is still good for what it is, especially I think against Sakazuki. If you kind of play it on curve, we did see like specifically Jonas's Enel list back for the North American finals. He was playing kind of this similar thing in Enel where you want to play Ohm into your 7-cost rush to just get a lot of bodies on boards and be very aggressive. And I think this still has like the same kind of theme for that too. So, but you'll notice that we don't have a lot of control aspects for this one. We only have 2 copies of Katakuri, 1 copy of Yamato, no copies of Gedatsu. And I think that's a bit wild for it, but it also just shows that if your opponent's expecting like more of a slow game and kind of has their opening hand and everything, their mentality for it, and then you flip the script and have like a really aggressive like ace turn or just like a Nell turn, they're going to be kind of on the back foot and a little bit of a bad spot. So I think that's strong. And also just obviously 200 million volts and reject are just some of the best finisher cards in the game right now and can just give you a lot of strength for finishing the game. So I don't have much more to say, but congratulations to Justin for their first place finish there. Next up, we have Sakazuki, and there's been just a big jump back and forth of which copy of Sakazuki are we looking at? Are we looking at the Marineford version? Are we looking at like the Great Eruption Ice Age? There's obviously pros and cons for both, but mostly where the meta is sitting, I think the Marineford Navy HQ build is probably like the little bit better one. Just so many decks are playing like 4 costs that are easy to be removed, but also there's a good amount of decks that still want the card to go to the trash to get more value from it later, specifically like Gecko Moria and also like Reiju. Both those decks I think are popular enough to want to like get that removal and help for it. Also, the more and more I play, just playing Hina for 3 and then using Ama or something like this, getting -4, it's just been really good. It's just a really good card to do that. Obviously, we play it off Rebecca, but just saying, you know what, I'm at 5 Dawn, Hina for 3, and then Houndblaze away. Like that gets rid of so many things, right? It gets rid of a 7 cost or less if you use your leader skill, and an 8 or less if you use the Marineford, which is all you really need at this point, right? Because most people kind of cap out at 8s. Not a lot of 9s are running around or higher. So being able to just, Hina, stage, leader effect, Houndblaze gets a removal of a lot of things right now. So I don't know if there's really much more to say. Congratulations to Clarke here for their 2nd place with this build as well. And we're definitely going to see Sakazuki in a little bit. We do get like a better super combo instead of Virgo, where we have T-Bone moving forward. But I think it's still going to be pretty much the same for the next month, and we'll see how that does there. So congratulations to Clarke again for their finish with Sakazuki. And the next up we have Newgate. So this is Jonathan's version of it here. And Newgate's, I think, has gotten a little bit of a resurgent. I almost want to say it's probably like the 5th best deck in this format, if not even better. I think previously I've been saying Reiju's been really good and it's been really solid for it, but Newgate's been getting like pretty consistently 1 or 2 tops in the last couple of weeks, so it might be enough to kind of boost it up in this meta and my thoughts for it. Specifically, I think it's doing better with the inclusion that Sakazuki is just getting more and more of the top cut and just leader percentage, where this leader has a good time against that one. I think Katakuri is also a good matchup for Moria. Can sometimes just out-defense you, just have a lot of blockers. And also the fact that they're a 5-life leader that really doesn't need to take resources out of their life as easy, just helps makes the matchup a little bit worse. And the fact that they want to be a 6k leader most of the time to get their leader effect. So just the fact that they're able to do a 6k attack and play a body every turn just means that Newgate has a hard time keeping up. But other than that, like, we do have just good cards. Luffy's great for attacking for game. We do have like the Makino, Izo, Nami kind of combo, being able to have that. We're also running 4 whole copies of Nico Robin, which is just really good for removing Rebecca's, which again are really present in Sakazuki and moderately present in Moria's as well. And then just kind of the regular pieces. Only running 4 Rad Beams and 1 Batter Manners Kick Course, so no copies of Guard Point, which is really interesting. But if your opponent's always expecting you to have, if you leave 2 Dawn open, I would always expect you to have a Rad Beam Guard Point. So maybe there could be some smoke screening and some deception on that too. But obviously it's a good deck, and it's also a deck that I think if people don't know how to play against it, a lot of people I think are joining this game this year where Newgate wasn't as popular as it was for most of last year since release. They kind of don't understand like the little advantages and how to play it max efficiently. And Newgate is very good at getting wins based off your opponent being a little bit inefficient. So anyways, this is the build from Jonathan here. Congratulations for their top 8 finish. And then next up we have Katakuri. So this is the version from Andrew here. I don't have a lot to say about Kata. I think it's been pretty known what it looks like for a bit. I would say this one is a little bit more aggressive and greedy with the inclusion of not only 2 copies of Nami, which is great not only as a trigger, but also it's pretty easy, like on turn 2. If you went second, you're able to, or sorry, if you go first, play Nami, put a Dawn underneath your leader. Just a 7k banish right off the gate, doing a quick 2k check, or just demanding 2 cards out of your opponent is fantastic, especially if you don't have the Pero Sparrow for the other turn 1 play, so that's strong. We have the Charlotte Cracker, which I've seen people run 0 or 4 copies of this card. We have some Gidatsu, and then also just the regular pieces for the deck. So I don't have a lot to say from this one. I think Katakuri is going to be strong. Some people are saying it's going to drop off in EBO 1, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not. But it's going to be interesting because it doesn't really get a lot of cards from there. And I think it does have a little bit of a tough matchup against Red Purple Law, which is going to be a little bit more present. But I think the deck is still going to be, I don't know, it's going to be hard to see this drop off drastically, but it's also been overhyped in previous formats, and we'll see how it is. But anyways, this is the build from Andrew, and congratulations to their top 32 finish here. Next up, we have Gecko Moria, and this is our only copy of X1 Gecko Moria from Nicholas. And this is kind of like the decision we have for this deck, where do we play the Rebecca Hina or not? And I've seen more builds be Rebecca Hina favored, just having like a little 3-3 split for it. But this one's just running, I think, like the standard package for what the deck looks like. We don't have, we just have like the 4 Great Eruptions, 4 copies of Ice Age, all of our 4 costs, like the Perona, the Hogback, and Absalom, as well as just having like some brand news for some searches. We have Borsalino to be able to just have an additional blocker, another target. We have our 4-drop Kuzan, and then 4 copies of Sabo for defense and for helping us just stay alive in the game. So only card that I would say I've been interested in adding is the 2-drop blocker. I think that that with Sabo is like a really good combo. Just having a blocker, even though it's just a 2-drop that you're able to play off your Moria, I think is strong for the deck. And just having that access, if you need to find a second blocker, again, like playing the blocker and playing Sabo helps you a lot in that case too. But nothing too surprising. I think this is a pretty standard build, especially if you want to play without the Rebecca and Hina. And just big congratulations to Nicholas for their X1 finish there. And then next up we have our Nami. So this is Chandler's version of the deck here. Chandler also got a top last month with Nami as well, so has been on quite a good streak with the deck itself. We don't have a lot of new text. I think the newest card we're adding is the addition of the Gravity Blade Raging Tiger, playing 4 whole copies of this one. So that's kind of like the biggest mix-up I've seen in a minute, besides the Crocodile tech for it. But I think it's a good card to get rid of 2 different cards from your opponent, being able to use this to get rid of like 2 Sabos, or if you're worried just about how much pressure your opponent's able to play, this can be very good for that. It is a little bit expensive, again, 7 costs to get rid of 2 bodies, but if your opponent kind of went turn 8, they play 2 4-drops, bam, all right, you use this, get rid of it, you still have some Dawn open, so I think that's fine for the deck. We also have a lot of ways to discard from our hand, so it's a little bit harder for it to be stuck in hand with cards like Kaya, with cards like Gum Gum Gavel, with like Desert Spotted drawing 2, and also just the trigger off of life, being able to bomb deck a 5 or less gets rid of pretty much most things early game that will get, affect you too. So getting that free trigger out of life to get that removal, I think helps the deck too in a lot of ways. So I don't have much more to say, but congratulations to Chandler for their finish there. And then to wrap it up, we have 2 copies of Star Deck 13 Luffy. It's the new deck on the block, so you just kind of want to go over both of them. So this is Vincent's version of the deck, as well as Chris's version of it. Vincent's, I say, is probably a pretty standard build of it overall. We do have pretty much all of the brothers that we're playing, 4 of each, and then also an additional 2 copies of the Star Deck Sabo, just as a way to take life and also get some removal, which is kind of needed. We have the Makino, which helps us get down if we need the life, and then the Hiyori. We have 2 Yamatos from the starter too, which is just a 5 cost and a 2k. But also it's a rush card if we like really need it, and on top of that, we can use it to take a life too. And then also we have like the Ace Newgate or we have the 6-drop Newgate too, which I think this one's a little bit less typical in Luffy in general, but being able to potentially heal and with how it works, because you can take a face-up card, put it to the top of your deck, and put a new card on the top of your deck too. So that's helpful for you. And then obviously the Moria and Three Brothers Bond for the value. And then also we have Chris's build of it. And then this one's running the Porcelino. This is kind of like the card that I think a lot of people are like love or hate in this deck. I know it's another blocker that does have protection outside of bottom decking. And I when I started playing this deck too, it was an early ad for me too. Then I took it out and I didn't really miss it, but I do think it's great for being able to just have another blocker if you need it, which most of the time you do. Gecko Moria is able to play it as well, which is nice compared to Sabo. So there could be some spots where you're at 10 Dawn, you use the effect to put 2 underneath your leader. You play like one of the 2-drop boys and the Porcelino off the Gecko Moria. So now you have a Porcelino, probably a Sabo blocker, 1 life, and you're a 7k leader. So there are some situations where being a 7k with 1 life is better than being a 9k with 0 life and 2 blockers. So I think that's something that's impactful for the deck too. But I don't really have much more to say. Obviously, this build and most builds for Star Deck Luffy look pretty similar to this, because we are kind of so pressured to play the pieces for it, and we usually get rewarded for it too. So again, this is the build from Chris and from Vincent, and congratulations for their tops there. And that's going to be it for this video. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. This last one for Star Deck 13 will be moving to EBO 1 pretty shortly, so let's be on the lookout for that. Then also make sure to check out my event. That's going to be tomorrow. If you can't play in it, we're going to be live streaming it too, so make sure to check that out too, and it should be a good time. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.